U.S. Senate passed the America Competes Act, moving closer to a state-sponsored technology competition with the People's Republic of China.
The Great Translation campaign tore up CCP's double face on external and internal propaganda. And then featured interviews, California legislators are trying to pass an aggressive slate of new COVID-related bills. Why everyone should be alarmed.
Welcome to Wei and Kathy Show. I'm your host, Wei Fang.
I'm Kathy Zhang.
All right, so today we'll bring you three topics, and the first one has to do with the Senate bill that was just passed this past Monday. But it does indicating a long-range impact that most media hasn't even talked about.
Yeah, but before we dive into the news, we still wanted to let our viewers know that because of the sensitivity of the third topic, which is the featured interviews, we will have to do it on Safe Chat again. So unfortunately, but actually I think it's very, very important information, although it is related to California, but believe it or not, it's gonna impact nationwide. So please, if you are interested, wanted to just follow us to Safe Chat. I know like Mark left a message from our last show saying that he's concerned and doesn't want it to register on a new platform. So understand, but one way you can do it is just don't register. Just click on the link and watch it, watch the live show. But what we can tell you is Safe Chat is nothing like any other platform, right? So the safety-wise.
Yeah, the Safe Chat was launched actually early last year and right after the election. And I interviewed, I know the founders and their team, and it's really truly a tool growing out of the grassroots, and they've been working on this actually for 5 years, okay? They were just, got launched only early last year. And it's very reliable, and the team is very dedicated and
dedicated to free speech,
the free
right?
Speech, yes.
So I think one thing we need to mention is to the founders, the group, tech group, most of them, they do have lived experience in the communist regime.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that they started working on this free speech platform 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we can assure you. But of course, you need to make your own decision. As I said, even if you don't want to register on it, you can still click on the link to watch it. But then you cannot just make comments. Mm-hmm. But I think really the information we're going to be sharing with you in these featured interviews, I just personally think it's such an important topic.
Yeah, so basically, in terms of their dedication to the freedom of speech is unwavering. The reason is they came from, they come through the communist society and they come to the free world. They are very, very determined. This is the first thing. The second thing is they're going to persist through. Okay, they're going to go all the way through until the platform become a major, big platform. So that's why I recommended, them to you, even though it's not probably the most familiar name you heard from media. Okay, but this is a solid tool, and it's just will be there, very, very solid, and it will be there for a long time. So if you if you install it, I think it's trustworthy. It's trustable. It's a trustable tool, and it will bring you the true freedom of information. That's why Kathy's story will be presented on the Safe Chat. And again,
because what happened in California, as people know that, right? As California goes, the whole nation goes. So what California happening right now, although people think a lot of the restrictions from the COVID is lifted, but the California legislatures are actually doing a lot of things that people are not aware of. It could happen in other states as well. So
okay, so back to today's main point. The first one has to do with what's the implication of the Senate's bill. The second topic we'll be talking about is a very, very interesting idea. It's called the Great Translation Campaign. That you never heard of this. What is the Great Translation Campaign? It has a lot to do with our knowing the ongoing truth inside China. You don't need any expert. You don't need any, in-depth media. You're able to find find out what's happening in the People's Republic of China. So important to, how to say, Americans. The third topic is?
Yeah, just like I said, what's going on in California legislatures, they are putting together, trying to pass a slate of very aggressive COVID-19 related legislations, bills, and without a lot of people aware of that. What are the bills? What's the consequence if they are passed? What's the impact nationwide? So I'm going to bring you the whole story and the observation on this. Two great guests that I interviewed, very insightful. So yeah, please go, follow us on to Safe Chat for this third topic.
All right, so before we start, please press like and the subscription and the little bell, making sure that's on. Okay, so let's talk about the first topic. Okay, it has to do with the Senate's action, and the Senate passed this. Is moving one step closer this week to passing a major legislation. Okay, addressing the competitiveness with the PRC. The American Competes Act passed the Senate, and the day before on a vote of 68 to 28. So you easily got the how to say, over 60. It will for sure it will pass, and it also set the stage for the legislation to be reconciled with the House of Representatives for the final passage. And President Biden has indicated that he will be signing on it. Okay, and then so basically what is it? It's initially mid last year in the June 2021, the act is called the Endless Frontier. Okay, later Senate gave this name to, it's called the Innovation and Competition Act. And so that was actually passed last June. And the allocation of the funding is $325 billion. That's a lot of money, okay? Including $200 billion going to the NSF, National Science Foundation, okay? Strengthening our scientific and technology research, the basic research. The rest of the money, okay, $52 billion will be going to the semiconductor, okay? And then the other will go into the supply chain and so on and so forth. And then that's last June. And then just less than 2 months ago, in the February 4th, okay, the House of Representative passed their version of the bill, and this time it's $100 billion. Okay, they cut out the $200 billion to the NSF and make that another bill.
Okay. So
what is left is basically the same as the Senate bill last year. It's about $100 billion. And then that's the House. And the Senate took that and morphed it a little bit, and it just passed this 2 days ago. All right, now they still have some difference. But the breakdown of the funding, okay, let me just iterate it to you. The main thing is first, $52 billion on the U.S. semiconductor manufacturer. Okay, as of today, 75 of the chips that the U.S. use come from Asia, not from this country. All right, so that budget is meant to improve that situation, change that situation. And another $45 billion will be dedicated to resolve the supply chain issue. In the U.S., we don't have a lot of complete supply chain. We actually supply chains all over the world. This is a part of the globalization, right? So now facing the COVID, facing the national security issue, we found that we have to have the key supply chain within the country of the United States. So that $45 billion will be dedicated to that, and all the other money will be dedicated to the key electronic product, and also the national defense, and also the the car manufacturer. Okay, key car components that will receive $2 billion. All right. The entire goal is to reduce our dependency upon the product manufactured by the People's Republic of China. All right, so we will understand this, right? And I just want to give a little, perspective to that.
Yeah, so before that, I think, including myself, I have this question because in the free market in the United States, usually the tradition is not to have the state-sponsored such kind of effort, right? Because government should intervene as little as possible into such kind of a technology market or any kind of a market. But now facing the PRC, the Chinese government, they are basically just using its whole nations and the state-sponsored efforts to compete with the United States. That's, I think, why the Congress and Senate are passing these bills. But what would that be a good direction? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Kathy's observation is indeed, I think, what we should be aware of, because after the Second World War, right, in the 1944, there was this Bretton Woods system that was set up. Okay, this is after the Second World War, and the U.S. led the ally and win the war. And the U.S. and its economic system is basically all very much respect. People in their rebuild, okay, the world look up to the U.S., want to learn from it. So the Bretton Woods, the Bretton Woods Agreement was set up. That was mainly address the monetary issue. Okay, so the international monetary system, and after that there was this GRATT, if you still remember, which is the predecessor of the WTO. Then finally, after rounds of negotiation, the world finally agreed to establish this organization called the World Trade Organization. So what is the World Trade Organization? Essentially just expand America's free market concept worldwide. Okay, so Americans' economic systems built upon the idea of a person, okay, who wrote this great book. It's called The Wealth of the Nation, okay, Adam Smith, okay, in the 1760s, 1770, almost like 250 years ago. Okay, the idea is the government do not get into economy. You maintain the order of the market, you don't get into it, no matter what happens. The free market, the buyer and the seller knows how to, the buyer always knows at what price he can sell, and the buyer always knows at what price he's willing to pay. Okay, give the freedom to the market, give the freedom to the people who carry out the transaction. That invisible hand will optimize things, and the economy will boom. This is what happened. What happened in America since 1789, after we found this, this republic. All right, so after about nearly 180 years ago, after in 1944, the world embraced it. Okay, then the WTO, and the WTO essentially said this: government do not subsidize your industry, do not stand behind your merchant, let people compete in the market, the best product will win. Okay, we also remove the tariff, and then there's no barrier of trading. The whole world is a market. You produce the best product, you are the most innovative, you win. The idea is a very good one, all right? So why we come to here? Actually today, with this $100 billion government allocation budget into the semiconductor, okay, into the chip industry, is the government jump into it. The very reason is because of the CCP. Since 2001, they joined the WTO. China's GDP grow by 12 folds, while US grow by 60%. Do you notice that? We grow 60% since 2001, and China grow by 1,300%, by 13 folds. Why? Because while everybody is abide by the rules of the WTO, and the CCP does not. Okay, so they subsidize their industry, they subsidize their company. Essentially, it's a nation against a individual U.S. company. Even though you are really big, you cannot compete and win against the number 2 economy in this world. So, and then there's all the other indecent, fraud, and then the stealing the technology, and the government coercion, and so on and so forth. So through actually fraudulent business practice, they're able to win a lot of business, and that's why we lose so many jobs. That's why we have this rusty belt in America. So the Congress is trying to do this, okay? Back then in 2014, China has, since then, they have 2 rounds of so-called 集成电路, okay? Semiconductor big fund, okay? So government just allocate a large amount of money and enable the semiconductor company in China to compete with the US and compete with South Korea and compete with Taiwan. And then in many cases, they won. All right. So now U.S., even though we are the establisher of the free economy, even though we are the founder of the Bretton Woods system, even though we are the founder of the WTO, now we are forced to abandon it. Starting with President Trump, he has to raise the tariff because when he faces a person who simply does not play by the rule, it's naive for us to keep playing with the rule. So we have to establish the trading barrier so that the ground will not be too much tilted. So that's the origin. Okay, that's the story of the Trump's tariff. Now with this Senate's bill, this act allocating basically our taxpayers' money to the semiconductor company so that we can compete with China. All right. So now behind the semiconductor company is a nation's power. That's how we can balance back the competition. So it's something that actually very unfortunate that they will have to take, because government money, as you know, as a free market person, you know that government money. How do you track it? How do you make sure it's efficient? How do you know it's best to spend? How do you know there's no corruption? It introduces a whole slew of questions. But we don't have a choice, okay? Because with the nation's power, CCP is destroying our company one by one and destroy our industry one by one. So this is our way of counteract. So I think that's the right way to respond, and this is the right thing we do. But it does. It basically we are basically just disrupt or destroy the very free market that we are proud of and we want the world to have, all because of the CCP and their practice. I don't know. Does that explain your question? And so that's the situation. Okay, we have to resort to this kind of a behavior in order to balance the field. Otherwise, we're going to keep losing and losing, and to essentially evil empire.
Yeah, but I think on the other hand, the United States should be cautioned about going overboard with that. Right?
Yeah, that's always with the government money, with the taxpayers' money. Okay, how reliable that is? Are we able to watch that closely enough?
Yeah, just like it may not be a perfect analogy. Like during the COVID, in order to help with those business, remember the PPP, the payment protection plan. Actually, it was really manipulated by a lot of people, and just a huge funds got. Yeah, it's a huge fraud with that.
So what do you think? Are you worried? Okay, I think Kathy raised a very good question, and we have little to answer. Why? Because we don't quite do this, and the U.S. government, federal government, never did this. Okay, and in the last at least 5 decades, never take money to support certain industry in such a way, in such a scale. So I don't really think we even have the system and experience to track those money. So besides, Rubio is one of the GOP senator who voted against this bill. And let me tell you his word. He said he's worried about something else. Okay, hear me out and see whether this is his word makes sense. He said it does take meaningful steps towards reinvesting our nation's capabilities. So there's good things in this bill, but does not build sufficient safeguards to protect taxpayer-funded research and industrial investment. And it is because the pressure from the universities and the industry, support of the billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars into the activities that the Chinese are stealing now, except with less money.
Yeah, and as I hate CCP made a comment, this money will go to CCP again. I would say might go to CCP. I would use that word. Just like the PPP, the paycheck protection plan. It was I saw different investigations at not only some domestic people in the United States, right, took advantage of it. A lot of them actually went to Chinese government-backed businesses in the United States.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars. So yeah, when government got this money, it really has to have a very good monitoring process as far as where the money is going to, right?
Yeah, this is exactly Senator Marco Rubio's point. He basically saying that we allocate so much money give them to the private business. And where's the watch? If we don't watch it over, either they squander it, they just waste it, or CCP come in and steal them all. Steal not just steal the money. It may not be steal the money. They steal the technology, the money produced. Okay, because Marco Rubio said those universities, those industries, they only pursue profit. So the CCP can buy them. Okay, he said that's the threat we're facing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyway, so again, as you can see, if you see this thing in the same way as I do, the move is not a good move. Okay, but it's a reactive move. We have to react to that, and this is the way that we resort to.
Yeah. So just wonder if there are any other better ways.
Yeah.
So if you have any suggestions or any thoughts, please feel free to share with us. I would really like to see, because there are smart people out there in the United States, and we should. I think United States should really resort to maybe better solutions.
Yeah, but in the meantime, this I won't.
Okay, so
It's a
how about
flat
we go to the next topic?
All right.
The Great Translation Campaign. You may wonder, what is this? Why is it called the Great Translation Campaign? How does that to do with China or the United States?
Yeah, just in China, you got this, the terminology of a communist nation or a socialist nation. Okay, everything's great. A great leap, right? Mm-hmm. That's the most ridiculous campaign that almost destroyed China's economy in the late 1950s. The Great Production Campaign. Okay, this is again this CCP's some campaign in the 1940s. They are circled by the Japanese, so they were doing some, the army will cultivate the land and grow.
Yeah, I remember. Seeing the movies
grow
about
the
that.
food. Okay, and they grow actually a lot of opium, and to sell that for money. They call that a Great Production Campaign. And another one is the Great Cultural Revolution, right? As you know. Now there's this new term called the Great Translation Campaign that has a lot to do with us, and what it is. Okay, great translation campaign started in just 2 months ago.
Okay.
In the February, okay,
wow.
from Reddit. On Reddit, there's a few like a Chinese forum, okay. So one of them was calling for CCP, the China has really two faces, okay. And the one face is just facing outside, facing Westerners, facing you guys. Another is just facing its people, all right. And then okay, the mission statement of this great translation campaign says that we do this, we translate everything or the most up-to-date things inside China, in Chinese into English in time, so that the world can see the Chinese are not as warm, hospitable, and gentle as the big external propaganda shows, but rather they are arrogant, they are populist, and they are unsympathetic. So exactly what does that mean? Okay. In China, we all know there's these two things. One is called external propaganda, 大外宣. Okay, what does that mean? So they allocate so much money, they build, basically they build a good story about China. This is Xi Jinping's original word. 讲好中国故事.
Tell a good story.
Tell a good story about China. So what are they? Okay, bright sides of China, and showing that China is friendly, China is gentle, China is reasonable, China is rational. And
remember, there's one show we shared how they actually use those Westerners as the YouTubers, right, to tell a good story about China. Remember, we have an episode on that.
Those are a typical case of the external propaganda, and they show that we don't have conflict with the West. China is a very, very good world citizen. However, Chinese people in China, they don't need to hear this. So they hear completely different, narrative. And what are they? It's called internal propaganda. Well, what are they? A few things. First, the party's agenda, the party's rhetoric. U.S. is evil, Japan is bad, and the West is also bad. Okay, and the U.S. always want to subvert, the government of China, and always want to invade China. And Japan, they killed tens of thousands, millions of us, 70 years ago, and they're gonna do it again.
Yeah, any opposition forces in China are instigated by anti-Chinese forces.
Yeah, they tell Chinese people, this world is very evil. Everybody's against us in China. We're very insecure. We're very always in the danger. So we have to bind around the party. Okay. So first is the party's agenda. Okay, that's for the content of the internal propaganda. The second, in order to make those rhetoric, widespread and become a domination, they have to have this so-called 50 cents army, right? 50 cents army.
Basically, they are the internet police.
Yeah, not just police. Okay, they are the internet masses. They fake as legitimate netizen. Okay, and in China, we don't know the number. There could be a few million of them. Their full-time job is just posing as common citizen and post their comment, netizen. Yeah. Just post comment. And then why are they called 50 cents? Because every post they earn 50 cents, half a dollar. Okay, so basically they flood China's internet with the fake opinions. All right. The third, of course, then is those misled netizen. Okay, they got fooled. They got
brainwashed.
They're brainwashed. So they echo the party's agenda. They echo those 50 cents fake opinion. So basically, if you go to China, you understand Chinese. You go to the net bar, you get it on the internet. You read entirely different things from if you are outside of China, access China's English website, you read the different things. Okay, so the Great Translation Campaign want to eliminate that double face. They want to translate what's inside China in time, real time, into English so that the world can see. All right?
Just starting 2 months ago.
Yeah, so what's the first example? On the day of the Russia invasion of the Ukraine, the Chinese government published a song video. It's called Kachosa. It's Kachosa. Kachosa just narrates, it's a romantic songs for Soviet Red Army soldier and a young Russian girl back in the, in Soviet Union's, how to say
the World War II?
Yeah, the World War II. And then it becomes so popular at that time that the Soviet army, they named their, BM-13, the multi-barrel rocket launcher as Kachosa. Kachosa is the name of a girl.
I know. We had to learn it when we were little. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, so what does that mean? At the first day of the invasion, Chinese government unleashed this romantic, beautiful song called the Kachosa. So basically, it's just to beautify the invasion by the Russia. And then they unleash other things like how much fault the U.S. and NATO has to trigger this war. And also they just elevate Putin, the president of Russia, as the hero who can challenge the West. All right, so in the meantime, in China, any voice against the war are subdued, canceled, and basically blocked. So all those things, what happened in China got translated real time. Where? On the Reddit and also on the Twitter. Okay. The second, in China, the netizen of Chinese people went as far as after the Russian win, we're gonna be part of that. We're gonna receive and import and taking in Ukrainian beautiful ladies, Ukrainian beauties.
That's the rhetoric.
That's the rhetoric. Nobody knows those things, right? Because it's all Chinese. It's all inside of the web of China. So when the Great Translation translate that, which reach Ukraine, think about that. Ukrainian government become very, very mad, including Ukrainian people. So in the early few days of the war, Chinese government tell its overseas students in Ukraine and the people who work there just to put on the Chinese flag in your car, you can safely travel. Because Russia is China's ally, Ukraine is friendly with us, so you can safely just move get to Poland.
Use the PRC flag as the passport.
After 3 days, they issue another notice, making sure you don't show you are Chinese, making sure you don't show Chinese national flag.
Okay.
Because the translation reached Ukrainians. They understand how, wow, they were treating us like this. So that even created, endangering the safety of the Chinese there. Because of those rhetoric was translated in time. Okay, the third example is about after the war happened, and inside of China, there's a strong just push for having war with Taiwan, taking Taiwan by force. Again, all those things. Outside of China, English reader, you don't know. But in China, there's this wave of hatred and warmongering type of posting there. The Great Translation campaign, which is made up of all the volunteers, mainly Chinese American volunteers. They just translate, nonstop into English and post on the web. So
their intention is to really help with the spread of the word or make people aware of
I'm sorry, I didn't even make that clear. The idea is so that the world can see clearly what's really in China. Okay, they are not on the same page of the PRC.
Okay.
They want the world to know what's really in China. Another example, there was a Ukrainian, a girl, okay? And she's a movie star.
Right.
She joined the army and she fought and she died, passed away.
Oh.
And so inside of China, in the Chinese web, they were Chinese, they were just celebrating. Let's open champagne. Russia killed that I don't want to use, dirty word, kill that lady. All right? Nobody know. It's all in Chinese until the Great Translation, caught up and translate that into Ukrainian and into English. And then this is the similar situation to the 9/11 back in 2001. Okay, when the World Trade Center was hit. In China, people were celebrating. What they said, wrote in Chinese, is Americans now finally got what they deserve. Do you know that?
Yeah, when they saw those almost 3,000 lives just gone,
perished.
and that's how they, those people react.
Yeah, they were ecstatic. It's America finally got what they deserve. That's what they say. And outside of China, nobody know. President Bush didn't know. And at that time, the chairman of the Chinese government, they show very sympathetic and things like that. We're your ally. Let's attack those terrorism together. Things like that. That's what Bush read at that time. They don't know in China. They were celebrating. So this is the other phase of China. All right. So finally, come to the result. What's the result of this Great Translation campaign? Okay, per the campaign. Okay, they announced this in the March 28th, which is 2 days ago. They said that because of the campaign, a lot of videos and articles in China has been offline.
Okay.
They dare not put it on, the Chinese version, okay? And including the government's education committee's notice to school to stop the lesson preparation on Russia-Ukraine situation, because the education department prepare all the standard, how you can think about this and push that through, in the school system. And those got translated, and they found, wow, that's just exposed their true feeling. Because in China, it's one-sided. It's really just pro-Russia. Well, in the international arena, in the national stage, Chinese government say, we're neutral, right? Okay, and also when in Japan, there was a major earthquake hit, just in the March 17th, okay? 4 people died, and, a lot of people were without the power. Again, inside of China, many netizens, they were very, very happy. They were celebrating. Those are offline too. Okay, so a lot of schools stop, also issue orders that we shall not put things online. All right, so the campaign said all this is the best encouragement to the Great Translation campaign, and they ask all the volunteers, I don't know how many of them, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands. So keep up the great great translation campaign's spirit, so that the world will hear the voice of China.
Yeah, I think you should say hear the voice of CCP.
Yeah. So this is what's been happening in China. I hope, basically it's mainly on the Twitter. So if you, I don't know, I don't have they do have a Great Translation campaign type of account.
Okay.
Why don't you search that? If you can find that, you can catch up with what they do.
Yeah, I know, people have different views about this Russian-Ukraine war. So it's normal in the West, right? Because it's a free speech environment. But what we just showed you is how CCP, they just formulating this type of rhetoric, just instigate hatred against people. And now the Great Translation Movement just exposed that. So I think that's what we wanted to convey.
Yeah. So hopefully they will keep it on, and then the Chinese government, the CCP, will never maintain this double face, and because they need the internal propaganda so that people always follow them,
right?
But they need external propaganda so that they can always fool the world.
Yeah. So it's not a surprise that a long time ago, over 10 years ago, I saw a journalist who worked inside China, and she was working in like a Xinhua news agency and CCTV. She put out a research paper saying in China the media they had two sets for each event, major event. They have two sets of press release.
Yeah.
One's for inside of China. The other is for the international world.
Yeah.
So they have been operating like this for decades.
You cannot even imagine how dishonest this regime is. Dishonesty is in their gene, is in their blood. They breathe that every single day. And okay, now
so
let's
go.
Okay, and Andre Ling, you were asking that do we go to Safe Chat today? Yes, we do.
Yes.
We need to do that now. Okay, so next we're going to talk about what's happening in the state of California, which may be a precursor, God forbidden, of the other states in this nation.
Yeah, but I think this information I'm gonna bring to you if you are not in California, but watch out. You have to watch out in your state as well.
Okay, so please post the safe chat link on the chat room so that our people can go there. In the meantime, if you haven't done that, please download the app. And again, it's safe, it's a solid, and it will always be there. So thank you. You can click that, and you can go to Safe Chat. Let's go there together. All right, so that we can speak freely there. All right. 1, 2, 3. Click.